The ugly side of nuclear power is the radioactive waste produced during extraction of fissionable materials from mines, processing of these materials into fuel rods, and disposal of spent fuel rods. A typical nuclear power plant generates 3 cubic meters of highly radioactive waste each year. After about 40 years, 99% of the radioactivity has decayed from these fuel rods, but the remainder is still very dangerous and will remain so for another 10,000 years. The danger of radioactive materials lies in the energetic ionizing radiation that these materials emit when they decay. When this radiation strikes DNA, it may cause mutations and interfere with cell division. This often proves lethal to rapidly dividing cells such as cancer cells, bone marrow cells, and cells that form the walls of the intestines, and provides the basis of medical radiation treatments as well as radiation poisoning. Storing highly radioactive materials for millennia is a formidable task. In the United States, a facility for long-term storage of radioactive materials was under construction at Yucca Mountain, Nevada, 100 kilometers northeast of Las Vegas, near the site of the first nuclear bomb tests. Opposition to the facility has delayed completion for over 2 decades, and their earliest feasible opening date is now 2021. Debate continues about the stability of geological formations below Yucca Mountain and the risks of transporting radioactive materials from all around the country to a specific location. The lack of such a facility, however, forces nuclear power plants in the United States to store their radioactive waste on site, circumstances that further diminish the desirability of having a nuclear power plant as your neighbor. Hydroelectric, wind, solar, geothermal, and tide or wave power are energy sources that are naturally replenished and do not directly emit greenhouse gases. Although facilities based on such sources meet less than 3% of global energy requirements today, they should proliferate rapidly and generate 20% of the electricity by 2030. The 3 most important factors for these power sources are location, location, and location. My apologies to realtors everywhere. Access to natural resources, water, wind, or fire, as well as proximity to power consumers, is critical. Although many of the most appropriate locations are already in use, technological advances and rising energy prices have bolstered the economic viability of these energy sources, and many additional sites are under development or receiving serious consideration. Hydroelectric power provides the vast majority of renewable energy and generates most of the electricity in places such as Scandinavia. In developed countries, rivers that are suitable for hydroelectric power already have 1 or several dams, and so the majority of new hydroelectric projects are in developing countries. Hydroelectric, in comparison to other renewable energy sources, is highly predictable and flexible, and thus can readily meet diurnal peak loads. Operating and maintenance costs of hydroelectric facilities after construction are lower than any other energy source. Reservoirs also serve for flood control, irrigation, and urban water supplies. Hybrid systems are envisioned that use wind, solar, or tide wave power to pump water behind dams and then release water to generate electricity when needed. On the negative side, construction costs of large hydroelectric projects are enormous, and such projects often displace communities that have developed along rivers and disrupt river ecosystems. For example, the Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River in China, when it becomes fully operational in 2012, will be the world's largest hydroelectric facility. Construction costs will total more than $23 billion, but sale of the electricity that it generates should recover these costs in about a decade. Unfortunately, the rising waters behind the dam will displace over 1.5 million people and submerge some 1,300 archaeological and cultural sites. Sedimentation of the silt behind the dam eventually will interfere with its operation, and lack of silt deposited downriver will lead to erosion and sinking of land far downriver in the delta region. The dam has already slowed the flow of the Yangtze, and this reduces the ability of the river and its tributaries to flush out polluted areas. Altered fish migrations and other changes to the river ecosystem are likely to drive endangered species like the Siberian crane and the Banji Yangtze river dolphin to extinction. Experiences with giant hydroelectric projects such as the Three Gorges Dam have led many governmental and non-governmental agencies to favor smaller projects. What smaller dams sacrifice in efficiency, they compensate in being more affordable and causing fewer sociological and environmental disruptions.